or Judith has to yell.
All right, session 20 of week 21. That is session 20 and is the last, chapter 25 of this book discussion. I've made a list of some questions we can discuss, but mostly I want to keep the discussion on kind of like the overall, what it's been like for everybody, discussing the book group, how you've changed, what have you picked up, what have you integrated through the process. So I asked, I'm working through some unworthiness emotions today, so it's a bit tough. As well as excited that I'm feeling unworthy emotion. You're like, oh, I'm in the emotion. And it's like, oh, who do I think I am doing any of it, doing anything? So it's kind of tricky. I did try to ask Aphraar for his feelings about, how he felt about the book group. I don't know how accurately I received the impressions, considering how I'm feeling right now. I saw a large group of people expressing gratitude. So a lot of spirits have been listening. I've completely forgotten that would happen, but there seems that a lot of spirits were attending and learning lots. So they really appreciated our engagement with the discussion. And then what I felt I got from Aphraar was, and I could feel, it was nice to feel what he was trying to show me, to not be afraid of our earthly limitations. Like, we're living in a lot of fear of each other. We're very afraid of wanting to belong. And so we are really afraid of the limitations we think we have based on earth life. And that, life is infinity, it's vast, it's limitless, life is limitless. And that to make God our focus, he gave the impression of make God be our focus of our life, not how much we're oriented to our society and our earth life. And to focus on God's goodness and to forgive our fellow men. And it was the feelings that came, the empathy that came from Aphraar, to just forgive each other, because and I could feel when I read the books, he's talking about the burden of sin, but when I was feeling his feelings, he felt empathy that we're like shackled by sin, that like we can't help but inherit sins, but that we're suffering from it. And so he was trying to convey this feeling of forgive each other, that we're all kind of trapped in our sins and that we're acting from our sins and hurting each other. So that was a lovely feeling to get, to feel the empathy, versus from the book, I felt like he was judging our sinful condition. And that when with each act of forgiveness, we break the bond of sin, like we dissolve the chains that ties us to each other. So there is a huge impact forgiveness have on everybody, not just yourself, but the one you're forgiving. And then I was shown that myself while I was teaching this series. I stopped at 7, or 8, but I was shown the addictions that I was in while I was doing the book group. I had the addictions for authority, addiction for control, because I don't want to be emotionally overwhelmed. The reason why I got sick 3 weeks ago was because the resurrection chapter triggered grief about Jesus's death. And I don't want to go there, and I shut it down. So within 5 days, I was in hospital. That's how much I was trying to not be overwhelmed. And because of my feeling of inferior, I was in addiction of competitive with everybody, because I felt other people knew more. So I felt competitive because it makes me feel inferior. I was also in addiction for comparison, because I'm connecting to the feeling of I will never amount to anything. That's the feeling that I've now found. Addiction for feeling superior. I've been unkind to myself and to everybody because of my judgment about our soul commissions. When I compare to all the other people, all the celestial spirit that shows up in our stories. Addiction for feeling important and addiction for approval. And I said, okay, that's enough. I don't need any more. List of addictions, there may be more, but I stopped writing. So that's where I've been. And should we continue with our discussion, or do you have some feedback about what I've said so far? Judith?
That was a really good idea, actually. That was a really good idea to do that. And I'm going to try that myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
To ask the addictions, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was showing the examples and the causes for why I was doing what I was doing. So it made me feel empathy as well for like, oh, I can see what drove the addictions. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so chapter 25, title Aphraar. It was in this chapter, Aphraar is beginning to realize that he's already given too much material for this book and that he has to stop channeling, and that he also talked about how he decided to focus on the topic of Jesus and sin, but that he decided to leave the conversation about God and prayer to another book. So I'm assuming book 3 will go into those chapters probably. And then he also spoke about his mother and how he realized that he's going to have to leave her, basically. Not that you can actually leave anybody when you're in the spirit world, or even on earth. You don't actually leave anybody. If someone passes away, you know, the relationship is there. You can still be in communication. But that he realized that he needs to keep progressing because something else has awoken in him. That I felt was a summary of the chapter. And let me open up my summary here. So I started with page 250. There's a quote: love free from any admixture of sensuous passion or selfish consideration, which I guess is addictions, is altogether unknown on earth, and to attempt to speak of it as it is enjoyed above the earth condition of paradise will only be to desecrate the most sacred attribute of divinity. So how do you feel that love in its pure form is unknown on earth, I guess until 14 has returned and they're progressing now, and we have never experienced or given true love to anyone? How did that statement resonate with you? Vijay?
Sad is my first. Sad that that there's not very much of that on earth.
Yeah.
Love. And curious as to what is it? What is it really like?
Yeah.
I want that.
Okay.
So it makes me curious, and I want to do whatever I need to do to
Wow.
learn about it, because it sounds so amazing.
Okay.
Out of this world, so to speak.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, but it is a little bit sad. So I just thought as well, though, but God loves us, and that is pure love, but we don't always feel it like that.
What is a big reason for why that doesn't happen? Let me tell you today. I kind of know why. It's like, okay. Yeah. But you're excited. You're like, I want to know what that is. Okay. And are you speaking of giving it and receiving it?
Well, both. I feel like I need to, and I want to understand it. I want to know what it is. Like,
yeah. Yes. Okay. And in order to be able to give it or receive it, you got to understand it. You got to know what it is.
Just learn about what love really
Yeah,
is in its purest essence, what it
that's
is.
a beautiful experiment.
I feel like though that, you know, when you do healing on someone, when you're doing energy healing and you're channeling that, I feel like I get a little glimpse of what that is.
Wow. Okay.
It's just this very light, I don't know, it's just this very light, embracing feeling. I don't,
Yeah.
that's all I can say is that I think that that is love.
Okay. That's cool. I'm excited to see you get, like, you're really excited. I don't know if I've seen you this excited in all of the book discussions. Like, I want that. That's great. Okay. Others? Karen?
Yeah, I feel quite similar to Virginia. Like there was a little bit of sadness at first,
Yeah.
and then but then there was this curiosity. It was like, what is it? And I think it's hope. Made me hopeful. It made me hopeful that
Wow.
what I've experienced isn't really love, and that there is something so beautiful and so pure. Because I can tell I just haven't experienced that where I've just been able to just 1 second. And so, yeah, it makes me really hopeful about that.
Okay.
Just a lot of hope. Yeah.
Well, just a couple of weeks ago, you were speaking about how Jesus was saying to you that he really loves you and that you can't feel it. And you're like, yeah, I can't feel it. There is some pure love coming from him. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't, I feel like I'm starting to feel it more, but it's still not, still not there yet. Yeah.
I guess we have to receive it first in order to be able to give it, right? Like if you don't know what it is, there's no point of reference. How do you know what to give? Wonder if that will help us.
I'm not sure. I'm like maybe, like I feel like you could maybe not receive it from somebody else, but you have to receive it from God to feel what it is. Is that what you meant? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to be able to, to know what it is.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. Other comments about that? No? Okay. Well, I seem to have lost my pages again. So let me try to find it. I have accidentally scooped it over to the other side. You know, when you try to push the page aside, it went to a whole other screen. And now they are like I don't even know how I have two different screens in my computer. So now I'm trying to find it back so I can go back to the next question. But if somebody else has their questions up. Oh, no.
Yeah, I can read it if you want.
Yep, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You had it was page 250. Love is essentially the lily of heaven, and only as we near its native region can the beauty of emblem blossom be found in anything approaching a suggestion of its unspeakable perfection. How do you feel about this statement that love in its pure form will have to wait until we get to the spirit world?
Comments? Judith?
Well, I didn't know if that was actually a true statement.
Okay.
You know, because the book was written at the turn of the century.
Yeah.
It was before the time that Jesus came back in the 1950s. So, and now we're all kind of learning again.
Yes.
So what we've been taught is love can actually be brought to earth.
Yeah. Because Jesus is at that state now.
Right.
He is in that state of giving pure love. And Mary is right behind him. So it's already here, right? Yeah, okay. But it is unrecognizable. To me, it feels very unrecognizable. Like,
but it also, like sometimes when people do things that are loving towards us, we really don't like it. Like if they tell us a truth about us that we don't like to hear, we get very angry, or at least I do.
Yeah.
If someone ignores me, you know, if I have a demand and they don't answer it, which is loving,
Yeah.
I don't feel very good about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we do have a lot to learn about love.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's this feeling of like, what do you mean? Love is safe. Love is a lily for heaven, and like it brings up feeling of like, how come I'm unworthy of having love while I'm still on earth? Why is it only good enough for heaven? So I go into that little snippy mood when I read that statement. That's what comes up for me. Yeah, which I guess trigger unworthiness. Other comments? Selena? And then Laura.
I don't feel bad about it. I like having something to look forward to. Something
That's a good one.
new. Yeah.
Okay. That there is something fantastic coming along.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you know, when you see Aphraar and he's pretty much there, has felt love in its pure form, and he's still so excited to move forward from there.
Yes.
You know, like it's like he's just beginning when he starts there. I don't know. I think it's just exciting and just great to know it's going to happen.
Yes.
For me. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Laura?
Yeah, I think I feel a bit the same. When I initially read it, I had the same sort of feeling come up as what Judith mentioned. But then I sort of thought about it from two different perspectives, like before the, you know, like obviously it's different now that the 14 are back. So that's kind of makes me feel excited for what's the potential of what's to come here. You know, if we all kind of work towards that and bring more love onto the planet, that's pretty exciting feeling. But also, yeah, even when we do get to the spirit world, it's still going to blow our minds more than what we could ever conceive of here. And like, how freaking awesome is that?
Yeah. Yeah, Aphraar did communicate in that chapter that it has exceeded his expectation.
Yeah. And like we're only in our infancy here, so. But, you know, maybe when we develop enough in love here and connect to God, we actually could visit the spirit worlds, places that, you know, as we go along, we'll be able to see and experience it perhaps.
And then remember when you come back, when you wake up, you remember that you were there.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Okay. Other comments? Karen?
I do.
Oh, Michael, go ahead.
I'm disappointed. I thought that it would be possible to feel that love on Earth, but Aphraar is saying it's so far beyond us and beyond our conception.
Yeah.
So it makes it feel real distant.
Yeah.
And it also, I kind of thought that knowing some divine truth would help compress my experience in the spirit world, but it just made it longer to say, you don't have any idea of what love really is.
No.
And that'll require a lot of humility on my part.
Well, I feel that the sadness that it triggers for you right there is the opportunity to clear something right there.
Okay.
Yeah. If you go into that. Like it triggered my feeling of unworthiness, and by today I am actually crying from feeling unworthy. You know, it's slowly cracking something open in me. So that it'll be an opportunity to feel that sadness. And Kaylee?
Okay, yeah.
Just gonna say I kind of interpreted it a little bit differently.
Oh yeah?
Just that, like heaven, kind of a little bit like what Laura was saying, that it is possible to experience it here on Earth. And even I feel before the 14 returned, it was possible, probably pretty difficult to become at one with God. Yes. But it was still possible if someone really exercised their faith and desire and will to love. I feel like it's a possibility because, you know, they've got guides and help and but I feel that it is possible on Earth to experience, like we don't have to wait until that go to the spirit world. And I feel like even like not in our sleep state, if you become at one with God, then I'm assuming you can just go to the spirit world whenever you like, awake or asleep.
Yeah.
And that you could experience it. Yeah, that way as well. So yeah, it still feels a long way off for me, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's a possibility, like it's, and that
Absolutely.
gives me hope and faith. Yeah.
Okay. On one hand, it validates how flat we feel. He's like, well, yeah, you don't feel love on earth because you don't know what it is, and it's all addictive, and yeah, you don't have the experience. I don't know. On one hand, you're kind of like, yeah, I thought so. It was nice to know that whatever I thought was love hasn't been love, and that there is something a lot pure that is possible. But then it's kind of almost like a challenge when he go, oh, you can't get that on earth. It's like, really? Are you sure? Watch me. So it's kind of like a nice challenge. I'm like, yes, we can, and we're gonna work at it. We're gonna try it. So yeah, part of me becomes a little bit like, yes, we can, and we will. Which is, I guess, either cute anger or a bit of arrogance. I don't know which one this is. Okay, so let's move on to the next. Page 250 as well. God sighed in his love for us, and that sigh was Christ. We too shall love. When looking on the world of sin, we sigh for its deliverance. And in that sigh, the Christ shall live again in us. But until then, the song of heaven cannot be sung in the land of exile. Now he called us the land of exile. Ouch. So at this point I was like, now I'm really blue. But what are your feelings about Earth citizens being able to learn of the song of heaven? Until the Christ live again in us, the song of heaven cannot be sung. I mean, he's definitely experiencing something very, very pure there that he's going, we have no concept of it. And I think if you don't even know to ask for it, because you don't even know it exists, how are you even going to strive for it? Selena?
Actually, the only part I really have trouble with it is the land of exile. Like we're in the land of exile because what, we're bad. I just didn't like that. I thought it was a bad choice of words, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does that bring
Like,
up for you?
you've been booted. You've
Yeah.
been booted. That's why you can't have this, because you've been booted. Yeah. Anyway.
It does bring up a lot of emotions there to feel about.
Pardon?
It brings up a lot of emotions.
Well, yeah, land of exile, because I mean, we just because we don't want to do it or don't feel we can do it is a little different than being booted out because we can't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Other comments? Virginia?
It makes it sound like I can't really know about this love or like feel God's love until I'm one with God.
Yeah.
Without being in the eighth sphere. And I'm like, well, I don't think that's true though. I think you're going to feel some of that and learn in order to have that, grow that desire to want more.
Yeah. But I think when he's talking about the Christ shall live again in us, it's like, well, as we start to emulate the lifestyle, emulate the teachings, and I guess we're slowly coming into harmony and changing our addictions into purity.
Okay.
Stages. So I know this one I'm going, yeah, like you, I'm going, okay, so Christ, are you talking about in one way, or are you talking about that we're progressing, where we're wanting to live like he did, living in humility, living in truth? And yeah.
Okay. That makes it sound more hopeful.
I know. It's a challenging paragraph, yeah. Ken?
yeah, kind of different feeling about it.
Yeah.
So like I was like, I feel like it's kind of saying God loves the earth so much, like God sighed in his love for earth, and that sigh was Christ. Then it's saying we too shall love like God. When looking at the world of sin, we sigh for deliverance. So once we have that feeling of wanting the earth to be delivered from sin, which is an at-one-ment state, then the sigh of Christ shall live in us.
Yes.
Because we will have that. And then, but until then, the song of heaven can't be sung in the land of exile. And I didn't really have many emotions around it, because I just feel like it's just kind of saying, well, until, while you've got sin, you can't be in that Christ state. So, and it's not, yeah, maybe the word exile could be, like, normally it's taken to mean you're kind of punted, or you're cast aside and you're not allowed back in, type thing. But I don't think that's what Aphraar means about that. I feel like it's just meaning that your condition prevents you from being in that.
We are exiling ourselves.
Yeah.
Exile. Okay.
Yeah, but it's our choice to, yeah.
I like that. I like your perspective. Okay, I get it. Yeah, I see it. I can see how my feeling of unworthiness triggered my anger about, what do you mean I'm in exile? So I can see how that's coloring my perspective about it. So yeah. Thank you. Judith?
Yeah, I felt the same way.
Wow.
Is what Karen said. It's about desiring to be delivered from this sin.
Yes. Okay.
Not that we kind of create our own exile.
Yes. That's right.
The only question I had is, I'm still not entirely clear about what Christ is. I mean, it's like we feel God's love and we come at one with God, but I'm getting the feeling maybe there's more to it.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm not touching that one.
Understand that in order to move out of this condition, or we just desire to get out of our sin, no matter what the sin is. Like there's.
Well, as Jesus had, through his life, through his work, demonstrated how to be at one with God, and that is the only way to do it. It's a narrow way. It is the way, and is the narrow way. I'm assuming that that is the name of that way. That is the only way. You have to be honest, and you have to awaken to sin, and all of those things we learned in the past chapters. Living righteously and all of that. Yeah. Seeking God's love. So, but yeah, I mean, the Christ shall live again in us. It must be that one man. I mean, it's stages. It's 7 spheres. So we have to progress step by step. And I really like how the book really made it clear. It takes a lot of steps, and you got to stick to it, and it takes time. That was really clearly modeled. It was really nice. It just takes time. It's not a judgment or anything. It takes time. It's going to take the time it takes for you to get there. Maybe the state of Christ is the at one man state. Maybe. Yeah. I wonder what sphere Aphraar is in right now when he's writing this. At the end of 2nd book, he has to be past 2nd sphere by now. Yeah, I can't remember which one. Virginia and then Selena.
There was in one of the channelings.
Okay.
Where Mary channeled Aphraar.
Yeah.
But I heard, I can't remember what year it's on, but he had become he was at one with God then.
By the time she channeled him, yes. By the end of the 3rd book.
Oh, you mean at the end of the book where he's going? Okay, sorry.
Right now when he's going, I gotta progress.
Oh, yeah.
Thinking he must be past 2nd. Selena, you had a comment about the...
I find the word side an interesting choice.
Okay.
Because you could exchange that for longing, which sort of seems to be maybe what he's saying, this longing. but side seems to have more of a melancholy.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that was deliberate. That, but God wouldn't feel melancholy,
Yeah.
would he?
Huh.
I can see God having a longing, like a loving desire, but side sort of seems like there's some, when we sigh, it's got some
Yeah.
melancholy or sadness.
But there's also the
So,
sigh
or
of,
longing.
yeah.
So do you think he just means longing?
Yeah.
I just find it interesting to use that word because it's not a word he's really used before,
No.
rather than longing or a desire or something like that.
But
It's just an interesting word.
as much as you say he's not a poet, he's a poet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, because it does just convey a different emotion to me.
Does. Yeah.
That maybe it's interesting.
Judith and then Laura.
I feel sigh means the only time we usually ask for help is when things get so bad that we're in kind of a pretty miserable state. Then we start to want to get out of it.
But by the time you're where they are, you're praying all the time. You're not waiting till you get in trouble to pray. You're doing it all the time because God is your focus and your center.
Yeah, but
So,
that's why he says we sigh for its deliverance, where we're kind of, it has to get that bad before most people.
yes, but that's our condition, not their condition. So as Selena's speaking of, it must come from a different emotional place, but a longing place. Yeah, a desire and a prayer. Laura?
I feel like kind of similar to what Karen was saying. The sigh to me feels like an empathic sort of sigh, like there's a big job to be done, and there's a lot of compassion that comes from God and the loving spirits that surround us to kind of encompass, and I don't know, it feels like more of a loving thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's something that me in my current condition can't relate to what that must feel like in their condition.
Oh yeah, it even says God's side in his love for earth, like
yeah, right there. Like you could just put that statement up on the wall and go, what does that even mean? What's it feel like? And reflect on that poetry. Karen?
I'm just trying to reflect. I'm wondering if sigh has a few different meanings, like kind of like what Selena was saying. Most of us sigh, we're like, kind of things are wrong. But I'm also kind of reflecting, and like times I felt myself kind of go, like a sigh of kind of express emotion, like, that's nice, like that's a kind of relief, or that's a or when you've kind of finished something that you're proud of, or something, or that you've enjoyed, kind of and it's just nice. So I'm wondering if there's like other meanings for sigh, and that's why the word's been chosen.
Okay. Yeah, it's a powerful word to think of. Judy, did you raise your hand just now? No. Okay, Laura, go ahead.
Yeah, and he said that sigh was Christ, so that sigh was love. Like that's well, from what I can gather, what Christ is God's love, right? Yeah. Anyway,
it's like, this is what I wish for you. That's a sigh of like, this is what I wish for you to have, for you. Yeah, what I wish for you.
But you're right, Karen, there's heaps of different ways that you can sigh. Like the earth. Still shit.
Okay, so we will move on. Still page 250. But when I become acclimatized to the condition and learn to understand something of the law and order of my new sphere of life, I discovered that my love for Christ was incomparably greater than my love of mother. if Aphraar, this is just my perspective, I'm just going, when he was on the earth, he didn't really have, or didn't know about his love for Christ and wasn't even religious. What has caused this change in him after he passed? He discovered that he has a strong love for Christ. Judith?
Well, wasn't his desire for his mother like his main focus on earth, because his mother died in birth and it was all about his mother, his mother, his mother.
Yeah.
And that kind of flipped completely when he entered the spirit world.
Yes.
It's all about love and about God. All the samples in the book, examples in the book.
Okay.
Taught him that. And that's what changed him.
Okay.
The people that showed him what. Every example in this whole book basically changed.
Yes. Okay. So why did it change towards Christ, though?
I guess right now. I mean, during this chapter, it seems. I don't really know. But yeah.
Laura and then Karen?
I guess that sort of depended on what he's referring to when he mentions Christ.
You're speaking about one man.
Well, he could just be referring to God's love, like receiving God's love.
Right. Okay. Yes. Okay.
My love for Christ was incomparably greater than my love of mother. So yeah, because that even says that in the Bible, hey, seek first God's love.
Yeah. And all else shall be added unto you, or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Karen?
I was just going to say, I remember we talked about it in a previous book group, that while he was on earth, he did actually have a really strong desire to love and for truth. Maybe he wasn't following religious teachings as such, but that I remember kind of talking about that is why he was kind of progressing so much. And I feel like in the there was a few chapters back when, I can't remember who it was, there was a guy that was at Zata, I know somebody came and there's a couple of chapters, I think 21 and 22, about the Bible, and I feel in that his love for Christ grew quite a bit. But yeah, kind of like what Judith was saying before, I'm not completely sure what Christ means.
Yeah.
And actually, I was kind of reflecting on that when I was reading the chapter, and I think I want to go back and read the whole book again and try and figure out what it is. I'm like, is that, because before I was always thinking, well, that's Jesus. And then I was like, well, okay, no, it's an environment condition. And then there was one chapter where it was saying when Jesus was, the Christ left him when he was going through the crucifixion, and I feel there's a lot more to it than I'm currently grasping. I think it's a condition, but what it is.
What is it?
And so that's, so I'm finding it hard to answer this question, like for like his love of Christ. What exactly is that exactly? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So that actually, so we can answer it. It's like, and I'm okay with that. It's like, we like, what's he even referring to? So we can't answer that yet. But something has awakened in him. But there's also the way, like the discussion of the Bible, when I guess he could feel the feelings of the celestial spirit and how much they adore what Jesus had done. What it mean, how significant it was that you get to be celestial spirits now. You get to have this whole other existence. And he's probably feeling their feelings of how powerful and phenomenal that is. So maybe, so I was thinking, maybe he is loving Jesus in this way, that he wants to go towards the love of this person that has done this amazing thing. That's where I was going with it, but okay. Yeah, we need to understand what he means by that word. So maybe if we are in a good condition, one of these days we can try to channel and try to understand what he means by that. Yeah. And for me, unfortunately, I just go, oh, that's the Christian thing. And I just shut the whole thing down. I just go, oh, okay. So I don't even try to explore it. Okay, next conversation was page 251. The valley where Vaughn lives, there was a description about it, being the nearest approach to stagnation, where the only active desire of the soul is for rest. Many reach the condition direct from earth. I want to say many, no, few. Many after being buffeted about and winning their way through the preparatory ordeals of various earth conditions, and many more after liquidating the debts and paying the penalties of hell. Why is this location so attractive and yet sedating? Why are people not able to or not wanting to move away from this location all that quickly? I know we discussed this some few months back, but let's see, we have more understanding about it at this point. Any comments? Karen?
Yeah, I find it an interesting place, this place. But yeah, I feel like kind of what we spoke about before, that there's a lack of desire. I feel there's a couple of issues. One, there's a lack of desire to get themselves out of it.
Yeah.
And without some kind of desire, then I feel like you're not going to move out of that. But I feel this gives kind of more explanation, in that it's saying that for all tempest-tossed, tempted, tried, and distressed souls. So it's kind of saying people that have gone through some trauma, once they reach this place of rest, it's just so nice for them that they're just like, oh, they're just really content to stay there. And I was wondering as well if, like on Earth, in some cultures and religions, there's this concept of when you pass, that you're just going to, like, I'll sleep when I'm dead, I'll get to heaven, it's just rest, there's nothing to do. And I'm wondering, like, when you get there, because on Earth, you're kind of forced to do, like, to be able to eat or, you know, have water or shelter, you're forced to actually take some action and do things. But in the spirit world, if you don't have to eat and shelter's provided and things, then this rest concept, you might think, well, I've made it, I've got here, kind of like how some people think of retirement. They think, oh, just they do work that they don't really want just to pay for these things, and then they get to retirement and think they're just going to rest and relax. It's kind of a similar feeling, and but it's more so for people that have been through these traumatic type things. And I was wondering also if it's part of God's, that he wants us to rest, like that rest is essential once you've gone through something traumatic. Like, I don't know, sometimes when I've gone through some traumatic emotions, it's almost like you need to rest to assimilate it, or if you even think the physical body, it needs rest to recuperate. So I feel that's a law in there, but just unfortunately these people get stuck there because they don't have a desire to do anything else, like to get out of that place. They're just probably so relieved to get there.
Can you imagine? Well, I like what you're suggesting there, which is that our earth-based belief of when you get to heaven, finally you can have that long rest for eternity. So we're stuck in that belief, and that belief becomes, you know, our beliefs becomes more enforceable. It becomes a force of its own once we pass. So that must have a strong influence. I can kind of see that, yeah. And then, yes, if you had to spend a long time working through the sins and working through the hells, boy, you're going to need rest. That seems to be like and also considering that physical life, we spend 1/3 of it asleep. God must care that rest is important. So I'm like, oh yeah, I see all your points, Karen. Selena and then Judith. Or was it Virginia? I can't remember now.
What I kind of saw in there was how it's like our human nature to change as a result of discomfort. So up until that point, so now we have comfort and beauty, and it's like our reward, and that motivates us. So it would be like teaching the soul to have desires beyond that, like beyond just comfort. So to explore a whole different part of your soul that he's given you that you would have never even looked at in human form or up to that point. And it's just a very different, because you don't need to desire God or even anything after there. You just have to have a desire for more, but not coming from a place of discomfort or like you're fine. And you'll be fine there for a long time. Like you're fine. Nobody's going to bug you or pressure you or make you change or do anything. You don't. So you have to come from a different place. It's like a different place in your soul that is just completely foreign to you at this point. So and eventually you get, because I think people just eventually just kind of get this feeling of antsiness almost to make them change and want to progress. And what's unique about Aphraar is that he doesn't care about comfort. All that. He just has that. He came there with it, like, now what? He didn't ever go, oh yeah, this is really good. I'll stay here. Never.
Well, I feel like he got hijacked. Like as soon as he showed up, instead of going straight to his mom's, there was this whole long, I don't know how many weeks or months it took before he even got to his mom, which was the first place to get to. Now he got his tour and all of this desire stuff to get.
I know. Like they really saw something in him different right from the get-go, didn't they? I mean, they must have. Must have saw something in him that was different. And so this was the right thing to do. Yeah.
And I like your point about I only change when it gets really uncomfortable. So I'm in trouble in second sphere, probably. Now, was it Judith or Virginia who raised your hand just now? Because I can't remember. I just saw this corner. Okay, Judith. And then Virginia.
Yeah, I just felt like the same thing about the religion. It's all about the belief that when you die, you go to heaven and that's it. No one tells us there could be something even more beautiful, or heaven gets even better.
Yeah.
And even people that believe in reincarnation and they think, well, it's just all about the earth.
Yeah.
And like what you said, which was real interesting, it's like Aphraar, he was just taken for a ride. How did that happen? He must have had just a desire in him.
Yeah, somebody saw something. Yeah.
And he didn't get it from a religion, which is interesting.
So the belief didn't get sunk into him because his beliefs are, they have a force of their own. Good point. Thank you. Virginia?
The word that sticks out for me there is stagnation.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember Jesus talking about this at one point. I don't know in which part was that, but he was talking about how stagnation is something that is like your enemy in the spirit world, because that's what will keep you from progressing, because there's no other pressures.
Okay.
It is so here on earth too, but I thought he was talking about when you're getting into second sphere, and that you can just, it's so nice that you can easily become stagnant.
Okay.
And that's not, that it's not being, that it wasn't a good thing, is explaining why. So I wonder, I guess that would only be true up until about, I guess, the seventh sphere or the eighth sphere.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be true beyond that.
Oh, by the time you get past that, you have such strong passion and desire, because in order to get that far, you got to have very strong desires. So you're now a very passionate person. So you're just going to keep having that desire runs you now for whatever. And, and after that, all your desires are in harmony with God. So why wouldn't you just, I think it's like spontaneously receiving whatever you desire, everything shows up right away. And you can just keep desiring and desiring. That's the impression I got at that point. Yeah. But then you got to work on your issues of being at one with the other. Looking at the way I am right now, that could take a long time. Laura?
Like curious to know, because from what I can understand, all of God's laws are kind of in operation to keep, like, almost prevent stagnation. Like, we can choose to be stagnant, but there's always going to be things that present, or, you know, like, I feel like even in a place of stagnation, you can only be comfortable in that place for so long before it starts to feel icky, when you've made like no progress. Like, so there's, and I don't know, I've noticed that here. So I can't imagine that would be different in the spirit world, but I don't know.
Just like with Vaughn and Aphraar, God used Aphraar to get Vaughn going.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah, exactly. So that sparked something in her, and she's like, oh yeah, maybe I can change from this condition. So yeah, I guess there's people around as well to help to ignite that spark if you lose it. I'm sure there's all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Because progress is the end game, isn't it? Like, yeah.
Judith? And then Michael?
Well, I think I've seen videos where they go into the sixth sphere of the spirit world, which is a perfect human soul, but they stagnate because they have no desire for God. So they end up getting actually bored.
Yeah.
And I think that Jesus and Mary have done some tapes on that.
Yeah, Stuart?
Yeah. It could have been Stuart. Yeah, Stuart.
And there were other channeling too, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And supposedly it's really difficult once you get to sixth sphere to have to come back to the lowest sphere and relearn some things. Yeah. Thank you. Michael?
When I thought of Veon, I thought of just the idea of eternal rest and rest in peace, and many people struggle through their lifetimes, and they're suckered with a promise that at the end of your labors there will be rest.
Yeah.
And she found it, and the image that comes to me is like she's been on the ocean in a storm, and she's been battered, but the storm has passed, the waves have dumped her up on the shore.
Yes.
She's resting, and she's in this calm place, and then Aphraar comes, and I feel like he awakens in her desire and also possibly curiosity.
Yes.
So
that's what she sounded like at the end there. She got curious.
yeah.
Okay.
So I could see her moving forward of her own choices and finding out about herself, and just her adventure begins now. I would guess she's right at the start of the second sphere.
Yeah, I like what you just said there, discovering herself. That's a good point. Because that is what it will take, isn't it? To kind of discover who you really are and your passion and interest. And yeah, okay, thank you. Selena.
It brings to mind a channeling they did with I can't remember her name. Shoot. Anyway, her guide actually, because she couldn't really remember, but she was close to the seventh, and she wasn't really getting there, and she had to go back because she just simply had to, because she had the love and she had all of that. She had to learn how to think of herself in those ways, like to find herself an interesting, engaging person, that she was worth being sort of self-centered, or in a way, like to just be self-involved and have fun, and not self-involved, those are kind of bad words, but that's okay too. Like that's actually, God wants you also to have, not to just devote your life to service. You're supposed to also have fun with yourself, and learn how to enjoy yourself, and learn what's in you that makes you fun for you.
I wonder if the 1/3 is a good division of 1/3 you sleep, 1/3 you have fun, 1/3 you serve.
Yeah, exactly. Like that balance. And she was really far before, maybe it was a 6, before that was her kind of flat place. Because for others, I think, well, they just realize that they're learning, but even the learning gets boring. Like everything starts to get, because they're not progressing. So they're not learning things that are exciting anymore
And she was
because they're not progressing.
She was in the third sphere. Or that she had to come back to the third sphere.
She had to come back to the third to learn how to just have fun, appreciate herself, and see the things in herself that God saw that were fun and interesting and things that she could develop.
And that she didn't remember, because now she's at one with God. She didn't remember, but that her spirit guide had to remind, he had to come to the way that she was tantruming. She was like upset. She was like, I don't want to have to, fun. I just want to go serve. And
because that had been her life on earth, was to serve. So, I mean, in terms of love for others, she had that down pat. But love for herself as an interesting person and a fun person, she hadn't really thought that was important. That wasn't important to her. Yeah. So I really liked that one. I thought that was really neat.
Okay.
Channeling. I really liked it. And it does, like for Veillon, I think that's very much maybe her personality too. Yeah.
Michael?
This is reminding me of I think the Mormon woman that came to Mary to talk to the people that would be attending the assistance group in 2016.
That's the one.
Who Life of Service.
Sarah? Is it Sarah?
Sonia?
No, not Sonia.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
And I think his spirit guide was Amantu. Spirit guide's name was Amantu. Yeah, that's right, Sonia. And she became, and one we got pretty quickly after she passed. Like it happened very quickly for her because her life was, I think, somewhat, she didn't have too many things to work through or something. So yeah, that's the one. Okay. Okay, so moving on. Page 251, the gate of heaven had been thrown open before me, and its inhabitants, its palaces, its ceaseless employments, its victories and rewards, its Christ, its God, called to me in such melodious, irresistible voices that even the love I had once estimated as supreme could not hold me back. Even though I had to leave, I must move forward. So what are your desires for spirit world? And do you have a strong desire to discover the gate of heaven? Like, do you have something like what Aphraar is describing there? So basically you're in second sphere. What's going to take you to get out of there? If you even hang out there for too long. Thoughts? Come on. Even if it's just a flicker of a desire, you gotta start leaning into it. Judith?
Well, I thought I was the only one here. Maybe other people feel the same way, but I don't feel I have a desire. In fact, I've been feeling I'm pretty insincere, and that's my problem.
Okay.
Which has been helpful. I guess I could jump to your question at the end of it about what we got out of the book group. Yeah. And at least I'm admitting I'm insincere, and not punishing myself for it, which kind of opens up, like videos are coming on my YouTube page that kind of help with that. But I think if I went through what Aphraar went through, I don't know how you couldn't become sincere and really kind of become curious about what's out there.
Okay. So you will be hijacked too then. When you pass, they're gonna like, Judith, let me show you my palaces, or let me show you what goes on. And I mean, all they have to do is show me a hospital. I'll be like, I'm staying right here, I'm good. My dad can wait. So it's good to have some of those pieces in you where you're like, oh, like, I mean, I'm even here, I'm going, can I go visit hospital when I'm in a sweet state? Sometimes that's what I wish for. I go to bed, I'll have a list of things. Like last night, I had a list of, this is what issues I want to work on. And every night I wake up around 2 or 3 or 4 with like, ding, oh, I get it now. And now I get up and I think about it, I work through it, I fuss about it. Sometimes I write it down because otherwise I'll forget. But you make a list of things you want to work through and then you go to bed, you're going to wake up with stuff formulating. So you know, I have developed a strong passion for medicine or hospitals or whatever. So I know that God can always use that to, you know, get me going. So you would have something. What would you have, Judith?
What would I like?
Yeah, what would that be for you?
Well, what touched me the most in the book was helping of the children.
Yes, see?
That was
Okay.
what, you know,
Yeah,
what really moved me emotionally in the book.
yeah. So,
And I would have to work on my fear, because I feel like I'm extremely fearful. And I've really realized that everything I do is,
yeah.
I've been held back my whole life because of fear, basically.
So there you go. There is something there. Like, I mean, look at what Kushner's doing. Like, he runs all this orphanages, if you want to call it that. Why would, like, yeah, I want to know how you do that. Like, he's a celestial spirit and he can run all these places and got all these programs going, got all these trainers. Dang, that's fun. That'd be something that would get you.
Yeah.
You could easily just go across and then go, so where's one of these children's homes? Yeah. Can I go preceptor? So, and that'll get you going.
Yeah.
What about others? Come on, there's got to be something in there. Selena.
Well, I think when I think about it, I just want to see I'm fascinated by the colors. When they talk about color and how it's like a living thing, and that just, I can hardly wait to see that.
Wow.
That just really strikes me as something I will love, is that color. I just love color, and I just think,
okay,
and new colors, like new colors, different colors, and colors that have emotion in them, and expression of emotion. I can hardly wait to see that. I think that'll be awesome.
The more progress you are, the more you see the colors, more colors.
Yeah, and as you progress, then there's more, and there's more to see, more to experience. It's more like to experience color.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Service can be something you're personally passionate about. Because that's 1/3. I'm just coming out with a rule here. That's 1/3 of your existence. It's fun.
Well, and I've actually had a couple of occasions where I've had connections with people, even actually in hospice before they passed, and the color was just such a big part of what they were experiencing and conveying to me. The color was really huge. That's why maybe part of the reason I'm kind of fast. The color, the light, how it all works. The energy around the color, yeah.
And the emotions conveyed through it, yeah.
And the emotion, like it told me so much. The colors expressed to me what was going on for that person who was kind of passing through the veil, like, coming through sort of, like one day I just touched her hand and I just had beautiful vision, and it was really about color. Like the color was the best part of it, and the joy of it, the color. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, what's it for others, Laura?
I don't think that I have a strong desire really to discover the gate of heaven.
Tiny one.
Yeah, I mean, like when he was talking about like describing the bridge and everything, I was pretty fascinated by that, that he couldn't cross over the bridge until he'd reached a certain level of development. I think that there'd be so many fascinating things to explore in the spirit world that, I don't know, could you ever get bored? Like, music is one thing. And like Selena, like the color that goes with the music and the harmonies and all of that. Like they were describing that in the first book, in the amphitheater thing. That'd be pretty amazing. But I'm also really, really fascinated with, like, similar to you, Mila, like the human soul and the physical representation of that, and injuries and all of that. I'm super into that.
That will keep you going, because once you get going and then you start to learn from your celestial friends, well, if you become at one with God, you can do more of this. And then you're like, oh, sign me up. I mean, how you get reeled in, like, it's how the passion can develop.
Yeah, and then learning how to, come to earth and finding ways that you can help to like connect with people and that kind of thing would be pretty interesting too, I think.
Okay, see, that would also develop your desire, because most of our guides, celestial spirit guides, have to become at one with God and then become guides. So, well, if you want the job, there's your job. So yeah, it's a way of getting our desires to grow and then to kind of pull us through, at least match the low worth that we have. We need to have a desire to pull us past that, because our low self-worth will just keep us trapped. Yeah. Virginia.
I never really saw it as a desire for the gates of heaven, like you're saying, but I just know I have this really strong desire for freedom.
Oh, okay.
And emotionally. And so I've had a little taste of that here, when you go through something and you process it and you release it and you feel that space within yourself and you feel a little bit of that freedom.
Yes.
I just so want that. And I think I will have much more of that.
Oh, yeah.
There. And I know I can have more here, but I feel like that I will have that on the other side. And that's just so appealing to me for now in the stage that I'm in. That's very appealing to me.
That seems to be what I seem to be getting when my guides try to convey what it's like. They give me that feeling of that freedom. Like there's a concept of freedom we can't even comprehend at this point, that you get past that once you're in celestial spirit. Wow. Michael.
I think I'm like Virginia, but in a different sense. I kind of feel like Judith too, like not a lot of passion that I've explored in my life, and I expect I'll find that as I go along. But I don't feel like I have really permission to like have a lot of fun or just to explore. And I want to get things right. I want to get to the end. I'm like that. So my answer is kind of devoid of emotion, but I want to know why things are the way they are. I want to know how to do things right. Like I feel like I've had a ring full of keys, and I've been trying all these keys in the lock, and I can't get the door to open all the way. And I want to know why things are the way they are, and to be able to do things and have them work out and understand and have things go forward clearly and without a lot of struggle and freedom, like Virginia was saying.
That's a pretty strong desire, actually. I want to know why things are the way they are. It's a pretty strong desire. That's about understanding God's laws and God's intelligence and wisdom in creating the way she has created it. I think you can milk that desire, grow it.
Milk it? Yes.
For me, my imagination right now is like, if any of these celestial spirits in the books show up to Michael and go, let's go for a walk, you'd be like,
I'm all there. Yeah.
You want to talk to me? You want to explain? Yes. Yeah, I can definitely see your strong desire for mentoring and for learning and to just have a conversation with somebody that can answer your questions. Oh yeah. Yeah, you're a sheep, you just follow. All the way to the gate. You'd be like, wait, I'm at the gate? When did that happen? That'd be great. Thank you.
That'd be great.
Karen, and then Selena.
Yeah, I was having trouble with the question when you first asked it, like to think of something specific, because I just feel like, I don't know, I'd just be so excited just to go and just see so many different things. Like there's so many things I've even heard about already. I want to see unicorns and dinosaurs and these amazing buildings and how people are living in these different landscapes and things like that. And so I think I'd just be running from place to place, trying to, discover it. Discover all of that. And, but the gate of heaven, I feel, I know, just to me, my personal meaning in that is that, to me, it's a love of God. Like, that's the love of God and receiving God's love. So whilst I've had like short bursts of that in my life, that's not that's nowhere near a continuous thing. So it's about developing that, and I feel like that's really the goal. Like, it's having, like, developing as much love as I can for God and being able to receive as much love as I can from God. And then,
but then
if you're in
the spirit world, just like Aphraar, and you go here and you go here and you go here and you go, oh my God, look at this and look at that, and look at all the setup that God has created. Won't you fall in love with that God when you see that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you would. Yeah.
So that's just gonna happen. I feel like exploring that passion you have for, like, because I was thinking, oh, this is the easiest answer for Karen. She's just gonna go on a tour guide, period.
Tour guide.
Everything out. But then that is a strong desire, and will grow your fascination and love for God. Right? You'll appreciate the creator that created that. That was my guess.
Yeah.
But then to be able to develop that love for God while on earth, that is an undertaking.
Yeah. And I feel like all these, even in the spirit world, a lot of these passions can start to be developed, like things like we were saying music, or Selena was saying with colour and things. Like, obviously we're drawn to these things on earth, but obviously the senses are more heightened in the spirit world. So
Thank you. Selena had a comment.
Well, I'm understanding the question a little bit better too. Also, what would create the desire? So, like, we know the jobs that you can get as a celestial. So, and we've all been exposed to some of those jobs just because we're studying divine truth. So we know a little bit more than maybe some people that haven't passed. So, and for me, one of the jobs that really struck me was taking care of preborn infants.
Oh,
yeah, like that really, just as soon as when I heard it, I cried for days.
Wow.
When I first saw the interview, I think with he had with the one lady about aborted babies and just preborn babies, and I know, wow, that's the job I want.
See, right there.
So that would give you that desire to reach the gate of heaven, because you wanted this job. This job really fills your heart. So I think that, so I'm understanding the question better, to have a desire for, and it could be just like the million things, helping people on earth with the environment, or even politics, or anything to try to motivate, stimulate people, or be a guardian, or be a guide, or be there's just so many things, you know, that I'm sure, and probably subsets of jobs within those jobs, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So let's just go towards the last questions. What are some of your biggest takeaways from the Life of Elysian? How has studying this book changed your life or deepened your passions? Or, I mean, basically what I'm trying to get to is, so how has this book affected you? Laura.
Yeah, I reckon it's sort of changed my whole world, really.
Wow.
Yeah, like, just especially doing it in this format and really kind of spending a little bit, a bit of time, because it's pretty easy to read something and just kind of not really take a lot of it in. And so when we're kind of just having discussions about it, we see things from other people's perspectives, might understand the truth of the thing a little bit better, and you gain a little bit more of an understanding. And I think through that process, I feel like I've developed more faith in you know, in God and in creation and in myself, and also just more of a feeling of appreciation for what God has given us, and that God is loving. Like, that's throughout this whole book, is just this theme that God is this loving God. And I don't think I really felt the truth about that until I started delving into it. Yeah, because I don't know, it's very well illustrated in this, I feel.
When when I was forced to stop and really look at it, you know, page by page, paragraph by paragraph, this is how I got hijacked. It's like, you lead the group, so now I really have to lead it. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Laura. I agree. Others? Virginia?
I would agree with Laura. It's definitely increased my faith and my curiosity about God's love and about God. And I realized that I really didn't know. I still don't know very much about God's love.
Yeah.
And I'm wanting to understand it now. And I don't really know God that well yet, but now I just have more of a desire to, and I have faith that if I continue, that I will be there one day.
Absolutely.
And it's comforting to know that God knows when that will happen. She knows when I will be there one day with her. It seems like really far away sometimes, and that can be challenging when you see how much, you know, there's so much ahead of you, but it's learning. There's so much learning and growing.
Wow.
And God's always with you.
Yeah.
And loving you through every single little bit of it that you're doing, every step you take, right?
Wow. Okay. That's powerful. Thank you. Judith, did you raise your hand?
I wanted to raise my hand, but I did want to talk. But I just have to also stress the importance of doing this within this group here and reading the book in a book group, how helpful it was for me. I read the book before the group, and then I had to reread it again, but doing it in this environment really made things sink home. You know, it pushed my buttons. You know, I felt I wasn't very good in the beginning, and now I feel like I've gotten past a few things, but that's been very helpful. And I think the best part about the book for me is the prayer is so important. And that we don't know what to do. Like how many times we see a situation where we want to help, and I'm always trying to kind of, well, I have to do it myself.
Yeah.
I can't let go and just try and pray. And that's, I think, the most important thing that I got out of it. Okay. Even though I struggle doing that, trying to pray, you know, when I see someone that needs help or I want to help somebody, I want to do it myself instead of just praying. Like the situation I'm in with being the special advocate for the teenager, you know. So that's what really has helped me with this book. And I felt was very important, the prayer part.
Thank you.
And the fact that the book got into the children, you know, what a way to get at your heartstrings was to have that, you know, story with Dandy and Bully Pig, you know.
And the group, the energy we bring, all of us bring to our discussion is so key.
Yeah.
Thank you. Others? Karen?
I feel there's been so many benefits of just the book group and the book. I feel I usually, kind of like Laura mentioned, I tended to read it more quickly, and really slowing it down and reading it just slowly. I just picked up things that I kind of missed before and things, and like looking up the words. And I feel I previously was quite dismissive of the Bible references. I just had a kind of emotion around the Bible of there's some truth in there, there's some error. I can't be bothered figuring out what's true and what's not. I'm just going to skip it and just kind of focus on divine truth teachings and things. But it's made me see there's really is some beautiful truths, and especially the parables and things like that. But I feel the biggest thing from reading the book is, like what other people mentioned, is faith and prayer. It's really increased my faith, and it's really changed my view of prayer to be more practical, and it's changed my view of praying for others, just seeing, I didn't realize how effective that could be. So that has encouraged me to pray more for others, and I feel like I've felt other people praying for me, and I've felt the benefits of that. So that's increased my faith as well. And I've just really enjoyed the group, and just hearing everyone's contributions, and it's really made me different times quite, like sometimes I've thought something and then somebody else says something, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it meant, or that's a different viewpoint. And I think it's been really beneficial. So
I want to say a special thank you to you, Karen, because you have a deeper understanding of the book, and it really helped, because I have very little understanding and could barely read it, and your contribution really helped. I felt a lot better knowing Karen was going to be there during the group discussion. You brought a lot of contribution.
Oh, thank you. That brings up some unworthiness, because I don't feel like I really understand the book that well, but thank you for the comment.
Absolutely. Every time I was like, oh, Karen raised her hand, thank God. She'll give an understanding about it. While I'm also feeling unworthy and competitive.
Well, but it could be wrong. Like what I said could be, it's just interpretation. So yeah, I have to feel about that, but thanks.
Others want to share? You don't have to. Micah?
I didn't think a lot of this book before we started it.
Yeah.
It didn't have all the nice stories and the movement that the other two books had. So I didn't think there was a lot there. And I was really wrong. So being in the group and helped, taking it slowly, and your questions, your questions were insightful, and they provoked thought and discussion. I've enjoyed getting to know other people, and kind of like seeing this thing through your lenses, excuse me, somebody's trying to reach me. So it's making it, it's telling me there's more there than I thought, and I'm also seeing that you've encouraged me to feel, Mila, and others of you have mentioned how you pray, and so those things have helped me too. So it's has felt like, for the period we've been doing it, it's been my connection to divine truth. Yeah. that helps me feel connected.
Thank you. For myself, I had to ask, I'm like, God, what do you think have changed for me since I started this? I couldn't even ask myself. I'm just going, just tell me, what do you think happened? So I've dropped the burden of saving others, which has been a huge thing. When I start to see how many celestial spirits are involved and so specialized, and somebody will show up for a very specific job, and there are lots of, I've dropped this burden of that I need to save others, and it's up to me. And that I've also started to trust that whatever my real self is enough. Whatever contribution my real self will have to make, just as all these people are in the book, it will be enough. I don't have to be all things. I don't have to be able to do all of the qualities. They were all so happy to go, oh, that's not my thing, let me call somebody else. That was so lovely. It's like, now I feel comfortable saying, yeah, I don't have an understanding about it. That's probably not my passion. It's probably never going to be my domain. Okay, somebody else will. And also, I'm not afraid of the hospital for sin sick soul. That was my biggest, I think that was my biggest takeaway. I'm not afraid of that place anymore. That was big. I'm less afraid of punishment from God. Because that concept of punishment is really big, and it's not gone, but I'm less afraid of that God is going to punish. And that, and I also have more faith that life only gets better and better as we progress. For real, it's a promise. And that it's okay to be where I am right now, and God will bring us all home. I think really create some comfort and some soothing, not just for myself, but my worries about other people. And that whatever I'm offering, offer it all 100%. Whatever it is, wherever I'm at, whatever I have to give it all. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be full of mistakes. Whatever I have to give, and whatever level, soul condition I am, give it my all. Is somehow God think that's what I'm doing. I don't think so, but that's okay. That was what I received from God, that I've learned. I've learned that wherever I'm at, give everything I have along the way. So those were some of the things that I've gotten from the group. And also really appreciate the different viewpoints that come to everyone in the discussion. That really just opens my world. I just feel like I end up with 7, 8 different viewpoints after each discussion. It's been really amazing. Yeah. Okay. Oh, did everyone go? No, Selena, please.
Yes, I did leave momentarily, just couldn't wait any longer. I think that my biggest thing is for me is having to really be analytical with the book and recognize the places that you want to skip over, omit for various reasons. They make you uncomfortable, you don't understand it, you're uncomfortable because you don't understand it, or it makes you mad or whatever. Rather than just skip it over, to be more reflective, which has helped me be more reflective of things that I want to skip over in life as well. That how easily we do that. We just skip it over. So it's helped me with that, to not be afraid to be more reflective. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I will stop the recording.